cover here. First on the agenda, I'd like to approve the minutes from July 10th, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
A motion, do we have a second?
Nightingale, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. Can people hear all right, or should we turn the other? You can hear right now. I'll try to speak up. Appointments, we don't have to approve them at this point in time. We have a presentation from Water and Sewer Authority, but I'm going to wait until they're on the agenda as they come. So first up would be Harry with planning.
So everyone got my report, so trying to give you as much information as we can. Again, happy to report that our final new hire is starting this coming Monday, so we'll finally have the GIS division go soon. And again, just a reminder that we did submit our CFAs for 2 of the countywide initiatives, the countywide follow-up. We've talked about it for a few meetings now, and the strategic plan. And that the BOA is a huge component of what will influence that strategic plan. The other component that's a huge influence would be the countywide housing markets. The county Micron Housing Committee has continued to meet every year to source funds outside of the municipal funds for that project. So hopefully we'll be coming to you maybe by the end of the year to say, hey, it's funded by all these different foundations and organizations, just need an account to dump the money and to go ahead and get started. That's our goal. Because that information is really crucial. Making sure we have a strategic plan filled out properly. We have one resolution tonight. Emily is one of our newer planners. She's here with us tonight. You guys saw her report from the Ag District. She's been working really hard along with our newest planner. Daniel Rogers on pulling this stuff together for the NYSERDA grants. So the solar and the car charging stations here in the park and at Highway. That application is due September 14th, but we don't have all the details we would really like to have for you. So the resolution we have tonight is just to authorize us to submit the grant applications. We will bring another resolution once it's awarded with the full details for authorization to accept those funds so that you know exactly how much they can cost. And
the grant won't be awarded until later though, right?
yes,
So I guess I might ask you to bring the details next month a little bit. So we stay up with it rather than wait until it's awarded or not awarded.
yeah, 100%.
Okay.
You'll have those details by the time that we submit. So by the time I see them for committee, I'll have them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And you did get information in your packet from Emily and again with the detail. We got some new information. We're pretty confident that there will be able to know gap in funding between what nice us and what their incentive programs that we have to use to make ready in New York Sun. So we're pretty confident that we won't have any pocket costs. If they are, they're going to be super minimal. And Doug has already said that he should hopefully have some money in his existing budget for that, but we'll have those details soon.
Okay. Want to do the EPW 4 now? I have a motion.
I'll move it.
So second. Any discussion? Is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Carried. Great. Next would be Kelly.
Just a couple of updates that I've had in my report. One of the things that I talk about often is the child care crisis for workforce development. And that being said, that impacts our ability to fill positions with employers, getting people to work because they don't have childcare. It's one of the biggest topics that I face. Working with a partnership with the Childcare Solutions, they have been awarded some funding to help people start up their own in-home daycare centers. It's pretty significant because that allows us to have more daycare opportunities for folks so that they can get into the job market. So now I'm working with Childcare Solutions to help recruit people to go into that field, offset, some startup costs so they can open their business and help with all of those things that go into that. It's pretty big because childcare is a huge problem. Lack of childcare, lack of quality childcare, but also childcare cost. So this is a pretty big project working with Childcare Solutions. Just started that partnership and collaboration. So more to come on that, but we will help them recruit and find the talent so that they can start training them to be able to open up their own in-home daycare. So that's pretty big. Another update I have is our youth, Micron Youth STEM event. So I did request $10,000 through ARPA funds to the Youth Bureau, awarded that money, and now have put a project in place to promote STEM applications to all 8th grade students. We're going to hit about 700 to 750 8th grade students to give them some awareness on STEM and microchips, not just for Micron, but the STEM industry in general. I'm contracting with the MOST, so the MOST will provide the discovery sessions in every junior high in Cayuga County from the northern end to the southern end. My staff, myself, will also attend these events, which is great. We're hitting a lot of kids for that dollar amount, and just the need for STEM and the need for the exposure is huge, but also helping with Micron and getting the word out. In my Micron consortium meetings, we're talking about the immediate need right now. Micron's bringing those folks in for construction and for those types of jobs. The market that they're looking for are the 7th and 8th graders now to work in the fabs when it's ready. So targeting that age group is huge. So we're going to be doing that. Sessions will start in September and October. And then we do have money set aside to do a community event, which will invite all of you folks to attend as well. And we're hoping at the new Workforce Development Center and offer it to the community, to families, to come in and make it a big event. I have been working on my budget. So my federal budget runs July to June. We did take a decrease in funding. So that being said, we're hoping to receive some incentive money to kind of bridge that gap to be able to continue to run our federal program the way we have been running it. We'll be presenting that budget to the Workforce Development Board in September. So we have been working hard to be creative with our spending and make that work. Last thing one of the last things I want to share, on July 23rd, I did receive the warn notice from Bimbo Bakery notifying me that they will be closing and ceasing operations at its facility located at 11 Corcoran Drive in Auburn. As a result of this closure, I anticipate approximately 49 folks will lose their jobs, and it will be a permanent separation. I will be there tomorrow morning at 5:30 to present as part of the rapid response team to the company and to all of the people that are losing their jobs and offer the services that we have. I present with representatives from the New York State Department of Labor's rapid response team as well, how to file for unemployment, what services and programs are going to be available for them. I did receive a list of all titles that they work under and their names and wages to be replaced. So that's a loss. I was saddened to see that news came through. They're a local company that's been in Auburn for a long time. And that's 50 people that are now displaced and looking for work. So I will be there tomorrow morning, first thing, bright and early, to offer our services and support. Bimbo Bakery is also initiating a job fair, helping them find businesses that will be appropriate. They're going to do that right on site. So they're definitely trying to do whatever they can do to help these folks that are losing their jobs, but also we will be responding to them as well tomorrow. So that's one of the bigger things that we're working on right now. I hate to see mass layoffs and closures. There's been a lot of them in manufacturing since I started in this job. We've closed down a lot of businesses, especially in manufacturing. So I hate to see that, but I'll be there tomorrow and we'll work through that with those employees. And then lastly, of course, the Workforce Development Center. I've had the opportunity to be in there frequently lately. It's moving along well. We did finalize our lease with the college at the end of June. And I'm now in the signature phase of the Department of Labor sublease with me, which has been ongoing for 2 years. So we're finally moving along on that. Long time coming. Their sublease is up with me at the end of September. So the new lease for the new space would be effective October 1st, and we'll see how that goes time-wise. And I've scheduled a walkthrough with the state to come through with the Department of Labor to go through it early September. So things are moving along, and we're excited for that as well. And that's all I have. If there's any questions for me.
Any questions from legislators here?
I do have a resolution.
Yep. We'll do that one right now. It'd be PW2. It's authorized to sign the one-stop system operator agreement. Do I have a motion for PPW2?
Make motion.
Motion by DeVito, seconded.
Second.
Tom? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
No opposed? Any abstentions? Carry. One last thing, you talked to me about the grant that you might be receiving or will be receiving. Is that what you talked about earlier?
So that grant actually was awarded to the Department of Social Services. It's called the YEP funding, Youth Employment Program. What YEP is, currently, you hear me talk about SIA, right, Summer Youth Employment Program. That's a program that ENT has operated for 25 plus years, money through the state, through OTDA to operate that program. This county has been awarded, it's exciting, $401,000. That money is designated to go towards what they're calling YEP. So you just take the S out. So instead of summer youth employment, it's youth employment. I've been saying for years, we need to have a year-round youth employment that helps end poverty and is income-based at risk. This money is basically based around the stopping gun violence. That's kind of how we were allocated this funding. The state looked at areas that have, they looked at the households that have kids within a certain age range, and if you meet the criteria to basically the poverty, what the poverty and the ages, and that's what made us eligible. So we were awarded that money, and that goes through the Department of Social Services. So Christine received the award. How it works for summer youth, which is why how I'm involved. Summer youth, the commissioner transfers the funds to the local workforce development board, and then they in turn transfer the funds to me, and we operate a summer program. This money is much larger, and the Department of Social Services wants to keep it within in-house. And we've talked about whether or not employment and training operates the program, because it is designed to wrap around the summer program, kind of an extension of, right? And we already have the model. In order to do that, we have to increase staff. We can't take on another program without doing that. So I know in the state of the county right now, approving new positions and adding positions, even though it would be 100% federally funded or 100% reimbursed through the state, and ongoing. If that's not an option, we've talked about looking at other alternatives. So Kristen and I are discussing those options right now. And maybe we don't operate the program out of employment and training. So that's kind of in the discussion phase right now. But we as in the commissioner did accept those funds, because we're not going to not accept $400,000 towards the youth program. The details will have to be worked out. If I can say my opinion on it would be, employment and training has a long-standing relationship with the business community. We have established relationships with the schools, the guidance counselors, and at-risk youth, ages 14 to 20. I am opposed to contracting that position out for the primary reason of if we have staff that are trained to hit the ground running and start spending the funds effective September first, and adding a position in employment and training to then be able to be in-house and take the duties of that person, there won't be a gap in service and it won't cost the county or my federal funds any money. That's my plug on that, you know, and we can talk further about that planning. But all I can say is we have accepted the funds in terms of brought them into the county and we'll kind of go from there. But we can start spending them effective September 1st.
So we can start spending them with what staff you have currently. But if you, what I don't want to happen is I don't want September 1st to come and then we're like up in the air and nothing's happened.
Right. If we contract it out, I believe it would be flat because there wouldn't be anyone to do the program. If I'm able to fill a vacant program assistant, what I would do, the youth that are currently enrolled in our summer program, we would keep them enrolled, right? The onboarding and that process has already been done. So we can kind of keep them going while we recruit to hire to fill a position. And then at least we're spending some of the funds right off the bat.
Can Elaine, go ahead.
I just, you know, I guess there has been conversation, I think Hans brought it up, that once you get into the habit of creating new positions in the bigger departments, once the funding's gone, position's gone, but a fat chance that doesn't always happen. I do think though, there is, other than the unemployment that would be if there's no more grant funding, yours is a little different because you don't have a local share to operate your program.
Correct.
So if you were to run out of funds and all of a sudden the employment and training budget starts having a local share, it would be very easy to pick that up.
Yes.
And
So if I may, I spoke with Lynn Marinelli about this. We are in the CD fund. We're in a separate fund from the county budget. It would be very clear if we started costing the county money, we never have. Our department has been up and running since the 70s. We've never asked for a local share. We've never cost other than in retirement. If those funds, the YEP funds would fund a person 100%. And you've probably heard this before.
salary and fringe.
Salary and fringe,
Yep.
and a portion of overhead. The reason I'm so interested is if there's a portion in overhead that allows me to leverage some of my federal funds to put back into program for those folks, because if I take a percent towards rent and overhead, that frees up money for my program that's already taking a hit, okay? Every department head has probably stood up here and said, if the money goes away, I'll eliminate that person. I'm going to tell you that employment and training has faced money going away, and we have removed people and never asked the county to pay for that person.
So where I was going,
Sorry, I apologize.
and I thought Elaine was gonna go there first, but where I was going is, can you give us an update at Ways? And is it okay with the chair of Ways to bring a resolution if we get to a point by next week that we can bring a resolution?
I would be fine with it, but at this point, I don't think the Department of Social Services has, maybe they have accepted those funds.
Yes, so the funds needed to be accepted by, yesterday, and
It was on the agenda.
I did ask her to accept the funds through OTBA anyway. We have accepted them through that. That's what you're referring to.
I don't know
They weren't.
if there was a resolution to award the Department of Social Services $400,000 of funds. They didn't get.
On last week's agenda? No.
Yes.
That's a resolution.
So,
Oh.
I mean, they have to accept the funds and authorizing that resolution. I don't know, we'd have to work that out, but if we could figure out a way to do that.
So I'm asking you, is it okay if we try to figure that out before Ways and get that?
And if I may, if it happens, it doesn't have to happen this month. It can happen in September. I did meet with the funders. And there was an area, this is the second round of money through the Gun Violence Act. And there was an area that didn't spend a dime. I'm not saying we would do that or should do that, but we're not in a rush because we can continue to spend summer money through the end of September. And those would be the kids anyway. There's no hurry. I think that we want to I think Christine and I want to talk it through before we rush into, If that's
You're just
okay.
hoping there would be consideration on the county's part to allow you to bring one additional staff on to manage.
Paid
the
under
program.
this grant only, and I didn't think that was going to be an option. So I didn't bring it up, but yes, that would be ideal. I think that that would be the best service to the community, and
So
we'll revisit this.
Hold on.
yeah,
Okay.
okay, very good, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next would be Doug.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Before you go, Doug, the reason why I held off on water and sewer is because you can see that a few more people are filtering in. I want to make sure everybody was here. So, go ahead, Doug.
Okay, just want to give you guys a quick update with votes. Usually that's the biggest topic of concern right now. We're our weed harvesters. Right now, we're on Cayuga Lake. We've been there for the last week. We'll probably be there through this week at least, probably early next week. It's been strange. We haven't been seeing volume of weeds that we've seen in the past. We don't know what's causing it. Been talking to my counterparts in other agencies, in other conservation districts around the state, and they're seeing similar things. So we're going to keep the discussion going to find out why there aren't as many weeds, especially as hot as it's been, as reasonably clear as it's been, the early spring warm temperatures. So kind of figure all that out. As you see, we've made a mess of your side yard out here, but I think it's come together. It'll look good when it's all said and done. I can let Doug talk more about that if you have any questions with regards to it. But that's the project that we've been working on lately, in addition to the weed harvesting. And then we had a great soil health workshop on July 25th. Worked with some other districts, and the best one attended, about 130 people there. So there's a lot of interest still in soil health and proper management practices up front. So it's really exciting. Busy time of year. Be glad to take any questions.
Any questions for Doug? Otherwise, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Did you go to the Manure Expo?
I did not, but my staff went.
Okay, I was supposed to go, but I couldn't, but how was it?
It was excellent. From everything we heard, there was some really good in-depth information out there. And we have some really good farmers here that are at the top of the game that had an opportunity to showcase the practices that they put in and the good management practices. And not all the feedback. And just like Dan probably has some staff on the committee, but the committee members that we've had there been saying that the majority of the feedback is really positive. One of the most attended manure expos. I know it sounds crazy still, right? That people are going to this, but one of the most attended, best attended expos in years, which is right here in New York, right?
Right.
I've gone to a lot of national meetings and they don't think there's any farming in New York. It's mostly Iowa, Nebraska, and Midwest, but and Texas. Yeah, it was really well done.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Otherwise, Dan, you're next.
Yeah. So I'll pick up on the manure expo thing, or manure expo topic. We had about or over 1,500 people that showed up. And like Doug said, nothing but great feedback. All the educational sessions were full. The tours were all full, which I think shows that farmers are interested in learning new practices, want to do their part to manage nutrients responsibly and sustainably, despite some of the narrative that may be going on. They are interested in this topic, and they're continuing, especially what we see here in this county, is they're continuing to do things to improve their practices. The other thing, I know my report's a little bit short, but between Manure Expo and Fair, were two of the big things we had going on annually and especially this year. But a couple of highlights from the fair: we had 65 youth participate, 227 animals registered. So that was everything from guinea pigs to steers that we had there. We think we had over 600 people attend. Kind of estimate. My staff and I we're not used to estimating crowd size that large. We're, a meeting room this size we can do, but so we think it was over 600. And our participation in terms of kids in the livestock auction grew by 250%. And we had one of the lambs, that one of our youth raised was sold for $30,000.
$30,000?
30,000, a lamb,
Wow.
a lamb. Which I was perceived as something that, you know, you might hear about, out at the National Stock Show in Denver, a ram or a ewe going for 30,000. Not typical for a market lamb at a 4-H auction to go for that.
Holy. That'll getting it.
That'll help for somebody's college
Which
education.
lamb was it?
Cody Boxford's.
That was my one?
Yeah. And I want to thank, Bob and, Mark and Ben and, Jonathan and Anna came out, at different parts of the fair to, either participate in our little show or just, see what the youth were up to. So we appreciate that support.
We're all gonna dress as sheriff next
Yeah,
year.
sheriff.
so-
Right, yeah.
Like the sheriff, he's the goat.
All right. Any other questions for Doug? Dan, I'm sorry. Otherwise, thank you very much. Again, I think Karen is up next.
Hello and good evening. Obviously you all have my report. Just a couple of things I want to point out. The Market New York grant, which we received from I Love New York, is focused on the Go Beyond campaign. It's a campaign designed to highlight the outdoor assets of Cayuga County and that they're accessible to everyone and make you just push yourself one notch above your usual thing, you know, so go scuba diving, go skydiving, go mountain biking. So we're capturing all these assets right now. We're hoping to be rolling out a digital marketing campaign ready to launch for next year. That is a 2-year grant, so we have 24 and 25 to utilize those funds. We hosted the Sweet Creek Trail takeover of the Equal Rights Heritage Center market. It was fantastic. We had really good turnout. We had media out there. They were very interested, but we had very little turnout from our partner participation. Challenges with staffing for farm markets, double booking for different markets. So we're seeing if we bring it back next year. The media was very interested. The public was very interested. We just need to make sure that our partners are able to participate so we can get their engagement in that. I did want to tie that together because I know when Dan talks about the agriculture in Cayuga County and how important it is. I find it amazing that you say that people don't think of agriculture in the Midwest. It is one of our prime assets. It is one of the reasons when people come visit our region, and it is something we're very proud to highlight. The Sweet Tree Trip initiative is on its 11th year. It is an agri-tourism initiative. It is intended to tie together the public-facing assets that have all the ice creams and chocolate cookies and with the farm. So every partner that's on this trail has to have a connection with a local farm, has to be buying local products, whether it's milk, dairy, strawberries, apples, or whatever it is to make the ingredients that they highlight under the Sweet Tree Trail. Next year, I'm hoping to create a little more partnership here and highlight the farms themselves. So that's going to be our spotlight next year, not just the brick and mortar places where you can go get the sweets, but talk about the farms where these organizations are buying their products. In another way to highlight how beautiful the agriculture is in our destination, right? Everybody sure received last month, wasn't able to attend, but we distributed postcards so that you guys are aware of a tour that we're sponsoring, the Sound on Film tour being done by the Cayuga Museum in downtown Auburn. Every Cayuga County staff member is invited. We have one tour booked and there's a rain date for it. August 26th is the date from 10 to 12. It's free to anybody who wants to participate, sponsored by our office. If they book up, they'll let us know. We'll consider opening another one, but I highly encourage you guys to do it. The story of Case is very unique to us, and it's something that needs to be elevated more. So we would love for everybody to learn more about it. We've had really good interest from the media lately. We've had a lot of outreach from travel writers coming. We've posted several fam trips. One of them highlighting the Erie Canal itself. Next year is a bicentennial, so you'll hear us more and more talking about the Erie Canal and all of their assets. And another one was about, that we're starting to post tomorrow. It is about the outdoor market and hinged on the Harriet Tubman story. So who was Harriet Tubman beyond an Underground Railroad conductor, and how she knew the moss, how that she knew the water, how she knew the trees, foraging. So that's another way of bringing in the outdoor assets under that narrative as well. And then we have a couple more coming for general family-friendly travel. We're marketing towards Canada and the greater Northeast. So we're really glad that they were getting them. And we're glad to have a new PR staff member in our office to help us with this. This has been overwhelming. But before I wrap up, you know that I love my show and tells and my distribution. This is our new magazine. You guys are familiar with the green cover, which is the Cayuga magazine. This is our next edition. The second edition of the magazine, this one focuses particularly on exploring rural museums. So it takes you all around the county. We made a good effort to try to hit as much of the region as possible. I am refilling. No, I have accepted it. So we will be distributing this around the county, so you will see them more. Aside from that, you have the regular features, the outdoors, the food, the culinary scene, and then the regions. We try to divide our county since it's long and narrow. We try to divide the county into north, central, south, so we could try to wrap that narrative. So one of the things that we did in the magazine that we do in our travel guide as well, we talk about the northern partners, the central partners, the southern partners, to give the visitor a bit of a geographical understanding of our county. So that's another way that the content is outlined out there. And as always, you have any questions with our report or anything in our office, you always know where to find me.
Any questions for Karen?
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so I don't think Carl is here, so I don't know if it's gonna be Doug or who is.
It's gonna be me.
All right,
I'm Doug Paul, I'm an advisor with the Water and Sewer Authority, and I'm filling in for Carl. The authority attempts to help towns and villages when they have an urgent project or a crisis. And such a crisis happened in Cayuga last night, we had a water line broke and took the whole village out of water. So Carl's been there with our field crew since last night, and is still wrapping up the work out there and the sensitive. So again, I'll try to do acceptable. Tim Carpenter is the authorities, firm MRP group is the authorities engineering from Tim Carpenter represents them and working with us on the project. And when I'm already for Chairman Brian Ball this year this evening. So we do have an abbreviated presentation of what you may have received before. So Tim, do you want to pass that on?
Got a copy of the slides from the board members if you want.
Just a little background. This is a project that's been considered for years. The authority's been actively working on it for probably 3 years now. Get it to this point where we can offer some more detailed information about it. And tonight we're seeking initial support, and we have a few requests which I'll get into further.
Can you put the mic closer to your mouth?
Sure.
Is that better?
Nah,
I don't know.
just use your outside voice, Doug.
Okay. Okay. The Cayuga Lake Protection Plan
Thank you.
is going to address one of the Water and Sewer Authority's priorities, that's protecting water quality. And we know that's a priority with the county legislature as well, that we don't want to see the deterioration of Wasco Lake, Cayuga Lake, or any other water body within Cayuga County. We want to make sure they're safe for future water supplies and present water supplies, as well as recreation and other opportunities. This, right now, Cayuga Lake is presently threatened, as all Finger Lakes are, by many kind of influences. And about, the manure, which we all know about, but among the impacts are residential developments that are on the lakefront to have those sewer systems. And that's the case with this portion of Cayuga Lake that we're talking about this evening.
there's 445 properties that lack municipal sewer. Instead, they have holding tanks and what have been determined to be largely inadequate septic tank systems. So they pose a threat to Cayuga Lake through potential contamination from a failure of one of those systems or leaks or other types of events that might happen that would discharge domestic sewage into the lake. This project install municipal sewer lines from the village of Aurora south all the way to the Tompkins County line and eliminate those threats to water quality in that portion of Cayuga Lake. So, I think we're trying to follow along on slides here for you. Slide 4, the current situation. A large portion of the Cayuga Lake East Shore within Cayuga County is sewer. This project would take that percentage of coverage to 95%. That's a significant achievement, noteworthy for a lot of reasons. It would largely connect all existing properties to sewer and eliminate this threat over the long term. The remaining 5% could be handled through an expanded project, but it's not our plan at this point in time to do that. So it's quite a project to achieve that kind of infrastructure development in the interest of protecting Cayuga Lake. It will also obviously provide benefits to those who live on the lakefront by eliminating the need to have those tanks on, allowing the health department to allow improvements and further development on the lakefront. So some of the problems is slide 5. It's a very constrained area. If anybody's been down there, you know it's very narrow. It's an old railroad bed. It's very challenging to operate and maintain any kind of on-site septic system. Hence, it's important that this project go down there because it will be a project, basically a pipeline with individual grinder pumps, which has become the standard along most of the Finger Lakes for projects. The benefits, obviously, we talked about, and primarily to protect the water quality. But in addition, part of this project will upgrade the wastewater plant at the village of Aurora, which is in its better days and is going to need to be updated at some point in time. This project will trigger that update, and our funding is going to also basically include that project in the larger project. That will allow us to connect and not have to build an independent wastewater treatment plant, improve the effluent quality from the existing Aurora plant. And it saves money and it has a water quality benefit as well. In addition, there's a lot of the village of Aurora probably facing some challenges in generating revenue that they're used to seeing from the college or their wastewater operations. This project would help offset that loss. I'll get kind of to the meat of this. In slide 7, we'll talk about the cost, and part of this involves a request for support from the Cayuga County Legislature. The project's a very good project. It received wide endorsement. The big challenge always is making it affordable enough that we can build it and that residents can afford to pay for their share of it. So throughout this effort, we've been looking at grant funding to offset a lot of that cost impact. Today, we have outstanding grant requests with the Environmental Facilities Corporation that could cover between 40 and 60% of the cost. We're very confident that the 40% is a strong contender to be funded. The 60% we're optimistic for. It is a good project. It's received endorsement from regulatory agencies, water quality advocates, and residents along portions of Honoco Road. The other funding that's out there is what's called congressionally designated funding. Senator Schumer has put $3 million into a funding bill request. Congressman Tenney has put in $1 million request. We're hoping to see maybe $3 million out of that, but that's a little more tenuous than the money coming from the state. So we've included it as part of our potential budget, which we receive all that funding. About 70% with grant money, leaving the residual amount to be paid for through assessments to the property owners who benefit from the project. So we're not going to see this grant money right away, and we feel it's important to kickstart the project as well as to show maybe a more shovel-ready project to encourage better support for grant funds. So we've talked a lot about the Cayuga County Legislature supporting our project, and we know some of you already do. But one of the key things that would help kickstart this, get it going, allow us to have a shovel-ready project fairly quickly, is for the county to consider allocation of a portion of their ARPA funds. We're thinking something in the order of $500,000. That would allow us to immediately begin design, get a jump start on this whole project, and move it forward diligently. Starting now, obviously, we probably save a year of inflation on construction costs and we take advantage of the availability of funding that exists today. So as far as timeframes, we should know about the state funding. We hope in October, but certainly by the end of the year. At that point, we'll know whether we've got 40%, which is $10 million, or 60%, which is $15 million of funds for this, what we're estimating to be a $25 million project. The other money, the congressionally designated funds, are subject to federal appropriations in next year's budget. So we probably won't know until sometime in the next fiscal year, probably towards the end of the year, calendar year. And that money will be something that we can add into the pot probably about the time we're ready to start construction if it becomes available. I think that's pretty much it. One other thing that we will ask of the county legislature is the creation of an assessment district. That would allow the assessment of any residual costs that's not covered by grants, the assessment on property taxes of the property owners that benefit from the project. This would follow the pattern of what the county legislature did in Fairhaven and Sterling, where the sewer system was very successfully installed up there, avoiding water quality problems and getting us out of a consent decree for little sort of pay. So,
sorry, if I could just add, I see that Ani from Department of Health is here, and Ani, I hate to put you on the spot, but you've been quite aware of some of when homes come up for sale on Honecker Road or that area, they have to have an evaluation by the Department of Health before they change hands. I think you've had some firsthand experience that you've shared with us that I think might be helpful for the board to hear.
Yeah, so we're bound by public health law in which, let me see, I didn't prepare anything exactly for what he's saying right now. There have been many cases where people have requested to add on additional dwelling units, a living space above a garage, trying to develop a parcel that has not been developed right on the lakefront. And unless they can meet current regulations and standards, we are not allowed to allow them to expand their house, do whatever. I recently had 3 inquiries that I had to shoot down. We would not accept their proposal because they did not have adequate safe space to put a true septic system in. They would only be able to do a holding tank, and holding tanks have a lot of drawbacks, and they are seen by the state as not an appropriate way to develop a unimproved parcel, let's call it. Hindering economic development in the area. Rental properties have become a huge thing, whether you like them or not. They're a revenue generator, but it is a challenging situation when someone purchases a property and they come to expand it, improve it, whatever they are going to do, and unfortunately, we do not allow them to do that. So I have a lot of angry people
coming from hemlock for these cases. But you know, we're doing it for a reason. A lot of times holding tanks turn into septic tanks and then either a seepage pit or a dry well is put after it. And then when you're on lakefront property, that is just a bad mix in terms of water quality. We've gotten complaints year after year of certain houses, and it's never the same house from year over year of, oh, I see laundry discharge coming directly into the lake. I was going to dock my boat and I see this soapy water coming out of someone's house. So we go down, take a look. Of course, by the time we get down there, the laundry cycle's done. So we can't do anything about it unless we're actively seeing it. So development on lakefront is such a challenge. Everyone wants to be on the water. It's beautiful. We have a lot at our fingertips here, but we can only do so much with that space. So.
Thanks, Sonia.
Sure.
Any questions from legislators? Yep. Mark, you go first.
How much of the New York Forward money that Aurora was awarded, putting toward this project?
I don't believe that they are putting any of that towards this project.
Ben, I can answer that.
Okay.
New York Forward, even the DRI, infrastructure is not an eligible project for DRI funding. So the village cannot put forward a project for infrastructure improvements, period.
Hans, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I represent most of the, well, all of the territory we're talking about. You know, I haven't heard anything from any residents about it. I think they're waiting for the bad news. The area is extremely densely settled. I don't see much room for development. You know, the lots are, you know, like 80 foot on frontage on the lake. That's about it. I don't see the great need for development. The question is, of course, how are they disposing of their sewage now? Holding tanks were used for years. Are they still being used?
Yeah, we have hundreds of holding tanks.
Is that legal or illegal?
It's legal, so it depends on if it's an unimproved lot, that is not a suitable wastewater treatment system. If it's an already improved lot, then you can replace a dry well or a septic system with a holding tank. So on Hanako Road, there's over 100 dry wells, and I'm just talking Hanako Road. And then there's half a dozen other roads that would be served by this project. There's over 100 dry wells on Hanako Road that would be replaced with the sewer system. There's probably similar amount in terms of holding tanks. A lot of times houses will have a holding tank and a dry well. The holding tank serving the black water waste, which is your toilet waste. And then they'll have a dry well that serves shower waste, laundry waste if they have, kitchen sink waste, the gray water, if you will, to mitigate the costs of pumping a holding tank regularly, which I don't, if anyone has had their septic tank pumped in the last few years, I had mine pumped, 1,000-gallon tank, $500. So it's $300 to $600 depending on the size of your tank every time you need it pumped. If you need it pumped 1 to 3 times a year, you're over $1,000 right there. And the cost of this project would be the individual cost is comparable.
I think there was a couple other hands up.
I was just curious, is the assessment district the same as the sewer district?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're interchangeable?
Yes.
And in Hans's comment, waiting for the bad news, is that because of the cost of this project to the people who live there?
What little I've heard about it is exactly that.
But if we were to propose a water district, there'd be some type of public input?
Yeah, there's a disclosure of the estimated cost for both the construction, which would show up in the property tax assessment, and the operation. And we're trying to target the assessment to be $1,200 or less per property per year. That would expire at the end of the debt being paid off.
Because that would make it affordable, Doug? Otherwise, is that what you're saying?
If it gets above that, it might be subject to the state comptroller's review. And, we're just trying to do the best we can to keep the cost of this. This project probably has to be built at some point in time, and it's not gonna get cheaper to build. So it may be that, moving today is probably the best action we can do.
That, just to comment that roughly $1,200 per year in assessment, we think is pretty similar to somebody having to pump their holding tank 3 or 4 times a year. And so it kind of fits into the schedule here. And if we were to secure 50% funding for the project, and the program that we've applied to is 40 to 60%. And these low pressure sewers are well funded by this project in recent years. So there's good reason to be hopeful that we'll get a significant award there. That should make the project pricing down at that $1,200 level, which should at least make it possible to consider.
Couple of questions I have. Go ahead, Hans, though.
Have you done any study of the assessment, total along that strip? What's the total assessment along that strip for the cottages on it?
Conoco Road.
For sewer or other, what assessments are you talking about?
The assessment, the property value of the,
We're proposing assessments of $1,200 per property.
no, I'm talking about the assessment of the property.
Yeah.
What,
The value of the house, in other words, if somebody's can't, the assessment of that.
We don't know, but they're all over the place.
Well, I mean,
It's very,
the properties I'm familiar with go anywhere from 1.5 million to some shanty trailer that's in there.
yeah.
So I had a couple of questions, Doug. The total cost here, you have 25 million. Does that include the upgrades to the Village of Aurora's serve the treatment plant?
Yes.
Yes.
It's estimated about 5 million of that is for the.
Okay, and does the Water and Sewer Authority have a signed agreement with the Village of Aurora?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
So
it's already in
us as
place.
a customer, yeah.
The Village of Aurora will benefit greatly from this project. There are minimum flows that they need to maintain their water plant,
Totally.
which they will lose.
Totally understand. I just wanna-
Understands that.
I just want to make sure that there's actually a written agreement and that's all in place.
One of the comments that's fairly common out of the few that I have is that people are worried, well, we're gonna help pay for Aurora's bills again. You know, the people who are outside Aurora, which is the majority of the property.
So,
Well, I mean, that's not really, what is your question?
That's a negative
Not a question.
attitude towards the whole project. Because they don't want to pay for Aurora's problems.
Okay, then they can get to keep pumping their holding tanks.
I think we're,
No, he's talking about the other residents of Aurora that don't live on.
it's not, it doesn't even have,
Okay. I think
Okay.
it's just
not part of the, but if, Doug, if you have anything else, otherwise I think we're kind of complete.
Yeah, I would just say that if we don't take advantage of Aurora and spend the money to upgrade it, we'll have to build our own treatment plant. And that's what.
It would be more and it wouldn't provide the potential benefits. It's a valid concern. I understand what you're saying, but I think it's the best solution is to go to Aurora and upgrade the plant.
It's the same thing we do in Fairhaven. We didn't build a wastewater plant, but we have our sewage sent into Wayne County and they treat it at their wastewater plant.
Last question.
Last question, if the county was to appropriate the dollar amount that they asked, the 500,000 of the 1.6 million restricted we have, that would not cover the full design or the authority would also have to put money in towards that design, is that fair to say?
That would cover the survey and the full design of the project and apply for permits. So
That would help get that shovel ready.
Exactly. We could do the entire first part of the design, not the construction phase, but the full design of it such that we could apply for permits. Which makes it shovel ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Move right along. It's in measures. Kyle is not here, but he does have a resolution. Yeah, right on the bottom.
That's-
Authorize the chairperson legislature to implement some measures to save funding. Expectation, screen tests and sample fuel stored in retail outlets. We have a motion for PPW8. I would
Make a
entertain
motion.
that.
I move it.
Stephanie, and a second, Tom. Any discussion? Hope not, no answers. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. And Tony,
Yep. Sorry, I missed getting my updates on the agenda, but I have them here for you verbally. I'll start with the administrative side, which is Lori Coleman and myself. We've just completed the specifications for some to replace some deteriorated sections of the sidewalk over the PSO public safety building. So we'll be going out to bid with a few of those things. We had a small roof leak at the old historic post office. We can't tell whether it's structural through the block or whether it's a roof leak, so I have JMP Roofing scheduled to bring a lift over the near future to get up there and dictate whether it's gonna be a masonry repair or a roofing repair. The HBO elevator project is during near completion. It's passed all of its compliance inspections. We're just waiting for Verizon to install a fiber optic phone line for the elevators. The COP roof replacement project is in full swing. I'm sure you guys have heard about that. The roof has been, at the end of the day today, will be 100% torn off, minus the penthouse. And they have 100% of the vapor barrier laid behind it. So the project is progressing well. With the downtown crew, they've been doing their, their routine maintenance and their daily work. Ed and his team has responded to 142 maintenance work orders in July. So the city courts and HPO, there was a project that came in way overpriced and they kind of put it on hold. And so they're reaching back out to me and they want to at least do the HVAC part of it. So I'm probably going to start working on some, specifications and resurrecting some of that project that Gary had going to try to facilitate their heating and cooling needs. The team downtown has continued to support the satellite office buildings and the setups that we're doing in the lieu of COP being closed. The core crew there downtown has been helping here this last week, moving a bunch of materials for some community repairs. Good thing. Out of the PSD building, Mitch and his team have completed 223 work orders in July. They're continuing to do a bunch of deep cleaning in some of the cells and pods there that's needed. Collier continues to work on the plans for the steel portion of the roof there. I expect to have those specs real soon, so we'll go to bid with those. The 911 towers, all the PM start on those on this next week. So we'll be doing, the generator PM runs, the UPSs, split units that are in there. We're doing all those PMs, and we continue their public safety building to support and accommodate anything the DMV needs there on a daily basis. So, any comments or questions? I do have two resolutions.
you have two resolutions and I'll entertain PPW1 now for discussion. Motion by Tom?
Nightingale.
Oh, Heidi, that's great. Second?
I'll second for discussion.
Tom? All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any questions from legislators? Yes, go ahead.
I guess as far as, cleaning of the buildings and with the county office building being closed down, are we getting any kind of a rebate or anything?
Yes, we get a credit for that, so we went ahead and looked into the contract. I don't have the exact number of what that is, but it's fairly substantial part of that 180,000 for the year is being credited back to us.
And then continue to do so under the.
They will continue to start this next contract, and then if it does, if we do get it opened back up, we'll just go right back into the contract and be good to go.
Kind of follow-up question to that would be like some of the other buildings that we're running on a short-term basis and stuff, are they going and cleaning those or not?
They are, yes, we have a quite low hourly rate negotiated with them, and so they're cleaning these satellite buildings under that hourly wage.
Okay, great. Any other questions from legislators?
I actually have one more.
Go ahead.
This is just basically a renewal of the contract that we have in place. Is that what it is? So I guess there's been no new vetting or anything. It's just, we've just kind of renewed and went with who we've had.
The only stipulation would be in it is if there was a raise in prevailing wage, then we would have to navigate our way through that, right?
But we haven't gone out and compared to any other
Yeah.
companies or anything like that.
This is for 1 year, so are you gonna recommend next year that they go out?
I
and
just
bid it
think
or
it's
whatever?
prudent to, price shop, if you want to call it that.
What's the total amount?
What's that?
What's the total amount again?
188,000.
188.
Any other would you recommend that, right?
I would recommend,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so Tony heard it. And if there's any other questions, otherwise all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried?
I just have one other quick question. What's the company that's doing the roof on the county building?
J&B installation.
Okay. Thank you.
PPW 9 was added the other day after my approval. Actually for the cleaning for the historical post office in the county courthouse. Have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Stephanie, seconded by
Nightingale.
Heidi. Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. So this says the buildings that are in this resolution, but however, if you go down to the full resolution, it pretty much refers to the county office building, the same ones that we just did in PPW, is that 2? PPW 1. So PPW 9, the full resolution, it seems to list the same buildings that are in PPW 1. I don't think it's supposed to be. I don't know if that was just a typo used from the template.
I'll have to look at that, but yes, so it is just for the historic post office and the courthouse.
Yeah, but if you read down into the resolution,
Okay, I'll look at
yeah,
that.
that's, the reference is PPW 1. It's almost like it just changed the title on PPW 9.
I'll have to look at that. Sorry about that.
Would you recommend an amendment saying that after updated resolution that can go to Ways and Means?
Yes, I would recommend that.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, now motion on the kind of the amended resolution.
Make a motion.
Second,
In a second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very, thank you.
Thank you.
One more question. I asked that some of the tabled resolutions get put back on. They were not. And I know that there was a resolution that tabled the hiring of a mechanic at the public safety building. Is that an urgent or can that wait another month?
Wait another month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Yes, after Tony is
Gotcha.
Doug Delastrito.
Good evening, everyone. You have my report in front of you. I don't have a lot of changes to it, a couple of highlights. We continue to get a lot of interest in the new Sterling Nature Center. The NOAA regional meeting was held up there weeks ago. And everyone was very impressed with the facility. It's nice to see that press still continues to get. The concert series continues to grow here at the park. We've had a couple of capacity evenings where we've had to turn away parking on the other side, the front side of the park, and send folks around the theater. So obviously, those have been great. All of our current construction projects are looking into, as was passed at the 2 previous meetings, the bridge construction and bridge replacement on Dover Island. I'm working with Colliers Engineering on that and several other repair and rehab projects around it.
Any general questions for Doug? Otherwise, it looks like he has 3 resolutions. Look for a motion for PPW 5. Authorize agreement with the Auburn Little League.
Make a motion.
Motion by Stephanie, seconded by
A second.
Tom. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. PPW 6 is authorized to install electric service at Dover Island Shelter.
I'll move it.
Motion by Stephanie, seconded by
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. PPW 7, authorize the Parks Department budget transfers. Motion by Heidi, seconded by
Second.
Stephanie. Questions? I apologize, I have not been able to see the resolution, but these are all budget transfers within your own department and
Yes, within, but because one of them comes from an equipment account, it has to be, it's not like a 0.4, so it has to be done by resolution. We actually originally thought we would be able to enclose there's a building right behind you over your shoulder, to start housing the equipment that's up here. We're in design with that with Collier, so it's unlikely that funding will be spent before the end of the year. And since we have 2 other budget lines that are getting pretty thin and still have projects associated with them, we're asking to make those transfers to deploy those funds.
In reference to capital H, that's not the Emerson Park capital. I was confused where the money's coming from,
An equipment line of the museum budget. It's under the parks budget, but it is separate. So, and in order to use the equipment line, for in the parks lines, it has to be transferred.
Oh,
It
so
can't be done.
it is in this,
It's in this
museum,
budget.
yes, and you're moving it over to Emerson Parks budget. Okay, that's what was confusing to me.
any other questions? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. And all set, Doug?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Brian, welcome, and I'm sorry, like I said earlier, I asked for those resolutions to be added, but we can get to them after your report and stuff.
I don't have anything really to add to my report if anybody's got any questions.
How's Jericho Road coming?
We're getting ready for the set the steel, or they're getting ready to set the steel. So we're about 50% done.
Who's doing that one?
Vector.
Ben,
Yes. Go ahead.
what's the policy on, road pickup of dead deer?
There is no policy. We have no place to dispose of them. So if we can get rid of them, we pick them up. Sometimes we can't. It all depends. We used to take them to the city dump, but since they changed their transfer station, they do not want our deer any longer because they go into the trailers and obviously create issues with aroma this time of year.
Made a complaint about it, so.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I get complaints about them all the time.
The deer don't complain, do they?
The deer doesn't. Deer don't.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Unless it's in somebody's yard. If it's in somebody's yard, we move them.
To another location.
Takes a bit.
All right,
I have to. Yes.
no more deer questions. Otherwise, let's get to PP. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tom.
You made mention of being down plow drivers and supervisors in your report.
Yes, those are the resolutions.
Okay, that's, if we will be able to address those and it's, no, it does sound like a concern. We don't want to be short on.
Well, it's gonna be today it's not a concern. Well, the problem is that if we're not gonna fill positions, I need to know sooner than later because I have to change what we do. Right now, those numbers that we have in our budget cover 24/7 plowing. If we cut out manpower, we're gonna have to decide, when I say we, you folks are gonna have to decide if we're gonna stop plowing at night, we're gonna not plow on the weekends, what we're going to do to change that plow operation.
And then you had mentioned in there about, we have to supply 24/7 for the state.
Yes, we have
Kind of bound by that, is it?
4 routes in Venice that have to be covered 24/7. 1 route in Ira that has to be covered 24/7 and 1 route out of Auburn that has to be covered 24/7. So the county roads is what we'd be changing our policy on.
That's been an issue for me for many, many years. I've never really been in support of plowing the state roads for the state. When I first got in the legislature, the state was, very unsatisfied with our plowing of the roads. And, I tried to get us to not do them and let the state take care of their own issues. But the legislature continues to think that the county's making money by plowing the state roads.
Well,
We're
not making money.
Thank you, Brian, thank you,
It's time and
thank you.
materials. You do not.
It's time and material.
We
And
cover costs.
we wouldn't need to have 2 shifts. We wouldn't need to have as many supervisors. We wouldn't have to have as many people on the road if we just took care of our own roads. I will stand by that till I'm off this legislature. You do not make money by plowing the state roads.
We do cover a lot of our costs.
Cover
County roads as well, know that. That's the one thing that we should discuss offline. I don't want to get into details of it.
But the problem is we have 4 more years left on our contract.
Yep.
But I don't believe that anybody can force a municipality for more than a year. I don't know.
Oh, we have an opt-out clause in every contract.
That is another discussion. So thank you for bringing that up so I could get it off my chest. Thanks. Let's go to PPW 3.
There's a typo on that we probably should amend.
Okay, go. What is it?
I put, let's see, where is that?
Well, let's get a motion in a second first.
I'll
While
move
you're
it.
looking. Motion by Stephanie, seconded.
I'll second it to get it on there.
And
It should state in the third whereas August 31st of 2025. Not 2024.
I'll make a motion to amend that.
motion to amend, seconded by Heidi. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Any discussion on the resolution? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Okay, Brian, now we'll go back to the ones that were defeated or tabled. I believe there was one other medium that I didn't present at the last.
But that was tabled to Ways and Means, so I assumed it has to come back at Ways and Means.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
What was the one you said October?
That one we passed to the legislature last month.
That was tabled full ledge and then brought back last month.
To fill in October.
Right.
There's another MEO that's still out there,
Yes,
that you need for plowing season. I mean,
yes.
right.
Or now, because I have other empty positions. I'm short 7 people right now.
And they're all have permission to fill, except these 2?
No, I don't have permission to fill. We're working on them right now.
Oh, they just recently resigned.
Yes, retirements, resignations, and then I have 2 out on medical right now that wasn't expected.
Something in the water.
Well, as a result of the accident that happened last month by work committee.
That was the one on 19 lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll be out for a little while.
Yep. All right, so the other resolution was.
So I had 2 supervisor fills. They were the ones that were changing from working foremen to supervisors. Resolutions, authorized to fill. Do you want, I can give you copies of them or?
No, I think we're all familiar with them, aren't we? They were.
There was PPW 2 in June or July.
So there was 2 different resolutions for the supervisors, or was it one? There was 2 different ones.
2 separate ones, got 2 retirements. The background on these are, one would be able to be filled after September 1st. The other one would have to wait till after October 1st. That's when their official retirement dates are.
Yeah, go ahead.
And these were the ones that the personnel committee met on.
Yes.
And we were taking the unionized position, maybe putting in the non-bargaining
Correct.
and changing some requirements in terms of the mandatory 4 hours of over. I mean,
Yes.
you went through all of that.
Yes. And I did some little, went a little further because I had extra time to work on it. As far as get ready for this, it's about $9,500 savings between those two positions if you switch them over to.
Okay. Because there's some confusion here, I would look for a motion to move these to ways and have you update the resolutions. Would that be okay with you, Elaine?
I'll move it.
Stephanie, second.
Nightingale.
Heidi, okay.
So we'll
Thank you.
expect additional resolutions on the ways agenda.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make that clear. That's
You want me to resubmit them right to?
resubmit the two to Wade.
Okay.
Yeah, we're making a motion to do that. I mean, you're okay with it still. Any other discussion on that? Everybody's clear on that?
Just a question. Is it because when they moved from a working foreman to a supervisor,
Supervisor.
they're going on, I'm trying to say, my mind just went blank.
There's language in the contract that spells out how their overtime is paid. And when you go into the non-bargaining unit, they get overtime for what they work.
Okay.
But not a minimum 4 hours.
Correct.
For
Right.
5 minutes.
Yep, correct.
Right, that's what I guess I was trying to get to.
Yes, that's where the savings comes in.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. And you had,
I had also had another one for heavy MEO, which are equipment operators. Due to soil and water stealing one of my guys.
It's called poaching.
You're still sitting next to him.
We have to get along.
Got a chair in between though.
We updated this.
That's just a fill.
So it's just a fill for a heavy
Yes.
or operator. And that would be filled within,
Potentially.
would that be filled potentially?
It could be filled from outside as well.
Okay. Again, I'll have a motion to resubmit the updated resolution to Ways. Again, if Elaine is okay with that.
Move it.
Moved by Stephanie, seconded by
Nightingale.
Heidi. Thank you. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried.
Would you like them to resubmit the one for Ways as well? The medium?
The one for medium was,
No.
The lawyer's got his hand up.
So there was one that was tabled at,
yeah, we didn't do that one yet.
it was tabled at June's meeting.
Right.
And it wasn't brought back at Ways in July.
You know, there's going to be going and wait till September.
That's,
Not snowing.
I'm hoping I'm not losing the people I have lined up for these positions.
Oh, that because it's your vacancies now. Okay,
Yes.
I understand.
so we didn't cover that one at all yet tonight.
No, that's tabled at Ways and Means, so we have to bring it back to Ways and Means.
Yeah.
But do you want me to resubmit it?
Might as well go for broke.
Okay.
Update it, bring it back.
Okay.
Any other business before this body? Probably the longest public works meeting we've had, so. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. What,
I'll just talk to Brian after the meeting.
okay. All right, motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Second. All in favor? All right. Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call the government ops meeting to order. And at the table that are on the committee, myself, Elaine Daly, Robert Shea, Mark Strong, Ben Vitale, Brian Muldrow has been excused. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of July 10th?
Move it. Second it.
Any problems? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. We only have, I'm sure everyone will be disappointed, we only have 2 resolutions on the agenda tonight. Luckily, the first resolution has to do with the Board of Elections, and John Tomardo is here.
Yes.
If you want to talk about the resolution, it seems pretty straightforward to do a contract extension.
You get my report, as you can see, we're getting prepared for the November elections, which is going to be a big turnout because of the presidential year, of course. We also have one resolution that would extend our contract, and we've been with NTS since 2006. We're asking for a 3-year, we took the lowest term of the contract, which is 3 years, so that we could reevaluate and look at other vendors out there. But we've had good love with NTS over the years, and we're asking that we continue on the contract for 3 years, please.
Okay, can I get a motion for GO1?
Move it, Mark.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any questions for John? All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, John, thank you.
Let's go.
Okay, so Sheila has some information on the report. She might be on the.
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, do you have anything, Sheila, you want to add to?
Not at this point. We're looking maybe to have a student government day. The luncheon definitely at the park. And we have asked Aileen if we could also have the meeting there. So we're just waiting to see what she says, and then we wouldn't have to move from the Ag Museum to the park.
Okay, that's October 22nd?
Correct.
Okay. And
So the
then
meeting would be at noon and the luncheon would be at 1.
Okay, great. Right, and I see our mail has moved to State Street from
Yes.
the Parks Department.
3rd floor.
Okay. Yep, 3rd floor. Any questions for Sheila? Okay, thanks, Sheila.
Thanks, Elaine.
Yep. You don't mind, we'll go to Jenny because that is the second resolution authorizing the sale of county-owned property. There's 3 parcels.
These were parcels that were sold at our public auction. And so according to our policy, they still need, the authorization still needs to come from the legislature to approve those sales.
Okay, 1 in Elbridge, or 2 in Elbridge, 1 in Auburn?
Correct.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Move it, Mark.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Do you have anything else, Jenny, or you'll wait till Ways? Right, you'll wait till the Ways
Yeah.
meeting? Okay. Fred, I see you have no updates?
2 seconds.
Okay, sure.
So, 2 social services attorneys have left DSS, so all that work is now being split between the county attorney's office again and DSS. I think there's some resolutions coming out of HHS this month. I would ask for your support at both Ways and Means and at the legislature to help us get back up to speed in the DSS legal side. Thank you.
Did I ask who left? Or is that, am I allowed to?
But I would rather do it in executive session if you get me offline, and
That's fine.
happy to give you this.
I don't wanna, yep, I'm good with that.
This does leave just 1 attorney in the Department of Social
Yes, the
Services out
retirement
of
is-
3.
The retirement is effective at the end of this month,
Okay,
and there's a resolution to address that situation.
okay. And I assume you would also put a plug in for the paralegal specialist? It's on the
Absolutely put a
agenda.
Plug in for the full-time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Gail.
Are we gonna hire 3 here?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't heard it.
We just took a little pause.
Like we're hiring.
The courts are getting anxious and getting their orders done, so I'll just stop at that.
Well, and again, everybody knows here, not all things are created equal. Some things.
Really?
Yep, totally.
Move on.
Moving right along.
Okay,
I'm done with my report.
all right. And Brian?
Yes, so I apologize again that I didn't report into you sooner. There's current situations, circumstances, I'm sure that will be. But we're treading in the right direction.
I'll talk about the DMV first. I don't have year-to-date numbers because they're on Peter's computer back in the office, so I can't get to that as of yet. But as far as comparing the retention to our monthly, we're on pace. Our in-office retention is about 42,000, online retention 17,000, bringing about 50,000 out there. So as soon as hopefully soon we can get into the building, get some of our equipment out, I can have better numbers, better facts for everyone.
It's going to be almost impossible to see if you were even going to be close to revenue to budget. I mean, with all the interruptions.
Cover that when I talk about the post office.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay. So the Dreams project is moving along. Dare I say, maybe a touch ahead of schedule. I don't want to jinx it and put us in the background, but we're soon moving out of phase 2 and into phase 3 of the 4-phase project. Meeting was held this past week with Michael and some of the departments to get started on this phase 3 planning portion of it. We project that coming up in the fall, maybe October, we'll be out of phase 2 and begin phase 3. So good progress there. Percentage wise, to put in perspective for you, our team, the county team, is about 43% completed in the project. So we're close to that half, that 50% at the end of phase 2. Going through the workflow, ICC and eBiz, they're on track. They're always going to be slightly behind us because we're sending the work to them. That's the way workflow goes. They're at about 38%, and then the last at 31%. So they're moving along just as well. We're well within budget. So fiscally, I think everything's smooth there. Any questions on Dreams?
Nope.
Okay. So to Yolene's question. So for the clerk's office, which includes revenue from the DMV records, building rent, I'll talk about that in a minute, and mortgage tax expenses and interest. We are year to date, we're just shy of 300,000. The budget called for about 600,000 revenue, so we're slightly behind that. My predecessor dropped the revenue budget from 650 last year to 600 this year. That kind of makes up for why I'm seeing a $50,000 decrease in our revenue right now, year to date. Some of that has been impacted by this closure, being out of the building, having the DMP down for a couple of weeks. And right now we're not able to do passports, which brings in about 3,000 to 5,000 in revenue. So we're 2 months behind, 2 months out on that, missing out on about $10,000. We're working to get that back up and running. We have most of the supplies that we can get from the passport agency, and what we're working on is getting to our equipment so we can process the applications. That would be a camera, the screen, the printer for pictures, cutter, the various equipment that we need for that. I have looked into purchase of that, but emergency purchase of probably about $700 or $800. So I think if we move forward on that, get that purchase. Right now, I'm kind of holding off because of the reports from 4-1 and potential of getting there and getting our equipment back. Pretty soon here, I'm gonna look to move it as an emergency purchase to get that equipment because the income will offset the cost of that very quickly. That's my report. Any questions?
Any questions for Brian? Thank you.
Just the last bit I'd like to share as I look back, comparing where we're at year to date, just because of the closure and stuff like that, I want to see where we're compared to the previous years. Like I said, we're behind by about $50,000 compared to last year. About $100,000 compared to the previous 2 years. I'm not sure what the reason is on that. But I'm looking into that soon. Try to get there. And again, with the passport thing, I'm looking to get that out into the county more. Like down in Moravia, up in Fairhaven, different parts of the county, get mobile, get out there and do that. And once we can get the DMV relocated into a more permanent location, doing the same with the DMV as well. But we can't do that now because the mobile device is being used as our main DMV right now. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Yes, Tom's not here, so we can.
Yes, Tom with his biggest report ever isn't here.
Take, you have my report is submitted, summertime, so I've been going out to different, field days, festivals, that kind of thing. I'm out there for a couple hours, usually talk to several veterans who don't know about potential benefits, or clear up some, misinformation about benefits and what they could be getting. So trying to hit the top part of the county, I was down in Arabia this past weekend. So I'm also trying to show some love to the north and the south. So, been pretty productive, pretty interesting. Like if you've never been to the bathtub races, it's a really interesting thing to go down to Fillmore Glen.
It was just this weekend?
It was this past weekend.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing some of the, things. I've lived in Cayuga County since '96. As I said, last year, I didn't know that, King Ferry had a wheat harvest festival. I didn't go, it was on the same day as the Conquest Field Day, so I picked Conquest. Last year I went down to King Ferry, this year I went to Conquest. So getting out there, talking to veterans and usually find several that could use some information.
Yeah.
Because then on the flip side of it, I got called by a veteran's sister, Vietnam veteran who just had a stroke and really wish we had been able to reach out and contact that person before they had the stroke. That's happened numerous times since I've been in a position. So that's part of my thing is just being out there, finding people, and then hopefully the word spreads little by little. It keeps a steady flow of us talking to veterans at the office as well. So any questions?
Any questions for Kevin? No, thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Sure. Move it, Megan. I'm good.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Yeah.